Yogesh Gupta and Skand Tayal joining us as well. Ambassador Tayal, coming to you first in terms of how are you looking at the possible fallout on India-Bangladesh ties after the developments?
See, of course, it is an internal matter for Bangladesh, but whatever happens in Bangladesh has a huge impact not only on India-Bangladesh relations, but on our northeast. So our expectation at present would be that the army establishes full control and there is peace within Bangladesh. Because yesterday, we saw some visuals where, of course, it is a student-led movement, but mobs had taken over, and they were not looking like students. We all remember that in Egypt 2011, the Tahrir Square, the revolt or a popular revolt against Mubarak was led by students and civil society, but was taken over very quickly by Islamic Brotherhood. So Jamaat-e-Islami will try to create some mischief. There should not be any attack on the minorities. I think that will have a huge impact in India if that is what happens. And of course, the whatever interim government is put in place by the generals, by the army, hopefully it will be non-political. And as soon as there is some kind of interim government, I think our government should send a Prime Minister special envoy to reassure the new dispensation that India's friendship, India's goodwill is towards the people of Bangladesh, toward the country of Bangladesh, and not to any individual or to any party. And our economic assistance, our strategic assistance, our friendship will continue if our core interests are taken into account. Here, I would add that we need to coordinate very closely with the United States and the West. We must admit that their reading of the situation was correct. They were advising again and again Sheikh Hasina that this authoritarian attitude and fixing the elections in January is not the right approach, on which many of us had reservations. But the West has been proved right. But United States is no friend of China. They don't want Islamists to come back in Bangladesh. So there is a common ground, common interest, and we should very closely coordinate with our friends in West, and so that we are all on the same page and give the right advice to the present military leadership of Bangladesh.
Okay, let me go straight across to Hindon Air Base, where Sheikh Hasina's plane landed yesterday, last evening. That's where Mohammad Ghazali, my colleague, is joining us live from. Ghazali, what are you picking up? How long is Sheikh Hasina going to be here in New Delhi?
See, we saw the statement from the British Foreign Secretary, Mr. David Lammy. He nowhere mentions in the statement that perhaps Britain is even considering or even hinted of any kind of asylum for Sheikh Hasina. So we are all waiting for that statement from our Foreign Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, in that all-party meeting. And what we are picking up right now is that hectic negotiations are going on for getting asylum for Sheikh Hasina from her team, as well as India is also assisting her in that dialogue with the UK authorities. But till now, till we get any update from UK, till then, perhaps Sheikh Hasina will prefer to stay here. We don't know if that will be Hindon Air Base or some other location in Delhi, but for now, Hindon Air Base is the place where she will be putting up until she gets a word from UK authorities.
Okay, so she will be here in India is the larger sense that we are getting. And is it Hindon Air Base or some safe house you're picking up, Ghazali?
See, since her last location was Hindon Air Base, and it's all over the reports now. So after the all-party meeting, perhaps if there is a need, or if she raises that concern that she needs to be shifted somewhere, because we know her daughter is also working with the World Health Organization here in Delhi, and perhaps there could be an arrangement that the family will be putting up together at one location. But as of now, there is no development on that front. There is no movement inside the Hindon Air Base since she is putting up here. Heavy security in and around anyway, it's usual here at the Hindon Air Base. But since she has shifted here, security has been beefed up, and as of now, there is no update on whether she will be moved out of the Hindon Air Base to a new location till the foreign minister makes a statement there. That statement is also important because that would be the first since the developments in Dhaka for the last 24 to 48 hours. And now there is no update over her relocation, but certainly what we are picking up is that her daughter is also in Delhi, so there could be some arrangement to put both the entire family together at one location.
Thank you so much, Ghazali. Ambassador Yogesh Gupta is also with us. Ambassador Gupta, the question here is that there is a very, very aggressive China, which is looking at expanding its influence in Bangladesh and has financial resources also to support the post-Hasina government. A strong Chinese presence in Bangladesh will be of great challenge to India and potentially leaving it strategically, many would say, encircled by unfriendly and indifferent neighbors. How are you viewing this?
Well, Maria, what you have said just now is certainly something very important. And I'm sure that our government will keep this aspect, in close view. And as my colleague, Ambassador Tayal has just said, as soon as the conditions normalize and this interim government gets going, it takes a firm footing. I think we will establish closer contacts with them and reassure them of India's assistance.
Why can't Aishwarya be
Our
live outside?
close relations are with the government and people of Bangladesh. It doesn't matter which leader is there. We have a lot of political, economic, technological, and other cooperation going on. We will try to maintain these, and we will do our best to expand and to continue and expand, our cooperation with the government and people of Bangladesh, taking care of their concerns, and hope that the interim government will be able to stabilize the situation. It will be a representative government. It will not allow any extremist elements to grow, so it will be conscious of our interests. So we will keep all that in mind.
Okay, so lots for India to look into, but in terms of what is it that Indian government can do, and domestic politics should be put aside is the sense that we are getting right now. That's the reason why this urgent all-party meeting is currently underway even as we speak. Ambassador Tayal, what are the options for India in terms of temporary refuge or asylum for the former Prime Minister?
One, of course, it is very good that the government is taking the initiative for this all-party briefing, because Bangladesh issue and is, I think, one of the areas of foreign policy where there is a consensus across the political divide that all the entire country wants goodwill for Bangladesh and a peaceful Bangladesh. Now, as far as Sheikh Hasina Wajid is concerned, one has to look at it in two ways. One is her personal security, and I think India has done the right thing that immediately she was permitted to come to India, and now she is in India. And what had happened to her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, has not happened. But of course, the situation is different. At that time, the army was directly involved against her, but this time, army is like a neutral force, and the impetus for change against Sheikh Hasina and Awami League has come from the students, like a mass uprising. Even the political parties are on that. But I would hesitate in supporting a long-term asylum for Sheikh Hasina in India. Because as it is, India is seen as a very strong supporter of Awami League and Sheikh Hasina. And whatever that anger of the population of Bangladesh, students and others, is towards Sheikh Hasina and Awami League, that will get deflected
Okay.
towards India.
Ambassador, just hold on to your thoughts because we are getting the first set of visuals come in from the all-party meeting. We can see Dr. S. Jaishankar, in fact, brief the members of all political parties that has K.C. Venugopal, Rahul Gandhi, and others from the Trinamool Congress and other political parties as well. So what is it that Dr. S. Jaishankar is telling the other political parties, Aishwarya, because this is for the first time in the last 24 hours, a formal communication is happening in terms of what is Government of India's view with regards to Sheikh Hasina's presence in India?
Well, what we've been told by our sources that there were several political parties in the India bloc who had moved the adjournment motion notice regarding the issue of Bangladesh to be discussed in the lower house of the parliament, but it was a speaker who had denied giving permission to the opposition leaders who have been demanding to discuss the issue of Bangladesh. But certainly it is the government who has taken a proactive step as far as calling the all-party meeting. We've been told that S. Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister, is briefing the all-party meetings and leaders who are present over there. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, to K.C. Venugopal from the Congress Party, T.R. Balu of the TMK, Lalan Singh from the JDU, Ram Gopal Yadav from the SP, Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, Derek O'Brien from the Trinamool Congress, Meesa Bharti from the RJD, Arvind Sawant from the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction, Sasmit Patra from the BJD, Ram Mohan Naidu from the TDP, and Supriya Sule from the NCP, Sharad Pawar's faction had arrived at the all-party meeting. The comprehensive view of what's going to be India's step towards assistance given to former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and also whether the asylum that she is willing to get from the United Kingdom, how soon that will be granted, and what sort of logistical approval that India can give, something that Jaishankar is briefing to the leaders over here. Those are the visuals that we can clearly see from the all-party meeting, which started sharp at 10 a.m. yesterday after the CCS, what was discussed, and how the internal matters of India pertaining to the borders of the northeastern states of the Indo-Bangladesh border, how the directions had been given to those states, the curfew which had been imposed in several of those states, and strict directions had been given that no illegal immigration would be allowed for the Bangladeshi citizens who wanted to come towards India, how the steps can be taken. So all of those things are being briefed to the leaders of all parties, which had been called at sharp 10 a.m. The meeting is underway, and it's been almost 22 minutes when the meeting is underway. As far as Jaishankar is concerned, he's chairing the all-party meeting, and very soon the leaders who had gone inside stated that they will be briefing media as to what India's strategy is regarding Bangladesh.
So, Aishwarya, you are expecting, or journalists there who are covering the all-party meeting are expecting a briefing from Dr. S. Jaishankar, or possible a soundbite from any of the opposition leaders?
Well, certainly it is Meesa Bharti, Derek O'Brien, and other leaders who went inside stated that let's first hear the government as to what their prerogative is as far as the strategy towards the Bangladesh issue is concerned, and how the Indian government is trying to assist Sheikh Hasina, as she has been a very close partner. And after that meeting, they will be briefing the media. That's what they stated before entering the Sangoshti, one of the new parliament building where the meeting is underway as far as the all-party meeting is concerned. And certainly it would be, from the government side as well, somebody who would be briefing the media has been assured by the government as well. Jaishankar categorically yesterday stated, if required, he will be addressing the parliament, and if things comes under control and looking at the strategical point of view, the government would be certainly giving details to all the parties. But the adjournment motion that has been moved, as I mentioned earlier, by the opposition leaders, including 5 to 6 political parties, that had been certainly not accepted, and it has been denied by the Lok Sabha Speaker to discuss that issue inside the parliament, because it is a strategical issue and also something which is very sensitive looking at the Indo-Bangladesh border.
Yes, you said it rightly, Aishwarya. These are very, very sensitive issues, and the government would certainly want to avoid a full-fledged discussion, as the opposition is saying that there should be an adjournment motion to discuss the developing situation in Bangladesh and Bangladesh-India ties, and that is the reason why an all-party meeting, which is going to be a closed-door meeting, rather than a full-fledged meeting on these lines. But largely the question, Aishwarya, is that the future of the strategy, what will be the future of ties? Do you think it's going to be a tightrope walk, and that's what India is sensing as well?
Well, certainly India is tight-lipped as far as the current situation is concerned. They had been in a position that they wanted to give some assistance to Sheikh Hasina, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a very close ties with former Prime Minister. And therefore, the reason perhaps a safe exit was seen yesterday after Sheikh Hasina flew from Bangladesh and directly arrived at the Hindon Air Base, but also looking at the future course of action as far as Bangladesh's interim government is concerned and India's stake is concerned in Bangladesh. It is India's position, which is something which is a very very tight situation, and therefore the reason perhaps the Indian government wants to keep it the things within the closed doors, and what's going to be India's strategical position is something that is being approved by the External Affairs Minister to all the party leaders who are present at the all-party meeting. So certainly it is something that would be approved whether those things which had been, would be strategical as far as India's point of view, would be shared to the media out in open or not, is something that remains to be seen, because that is very, very sensitive. But on the other side, what is India's directions, what is the advisories that Indian government will be issuing very soon, that will certainly be coming out after the all-party meeting concludes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let me go back to the two ambassadors that we have on the show, Ambassador Yogesh Gupta and Ambassador Skandeyal. Ambassador Gupta, we haven't really seen many of these all-party meetings on a developing diplomatic situation in recent times. But of course, Bangladesh-India ties are very, very strategic. And, an unstable Bangladesh can add to instability in parts of our country as well, given the fact that we share a over 4,000 kilometer long porous border, several parts of which are porous as well.
Yes, absolutely. Also, there are so many aspects relating to Bangladesh which impinge very closely on our not only external affairs, but also our domestic affairs. There are a whole lot of people of Bangladesh origin who are in India. There is a border, which is very, very active. There are transportation routes. There are people, in India, who have varying views on relations with Bangladesh. So at a time like this, I think it's important for the government to keep the opposition parties briefed on what it intends to do, so that we have a common stand, a united stand as a country. And that helps in forging a consensus on whatever approach we take.
But Ambassador Gupta, do you think India will now cannot act as the mediator that it did when, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina returned to power, and at that time she faced questions of rigging the elections? At that time, India played the mediator between Bangladesh and the Western world. We cannot really afford to play that role anymore.
Yeah, it depends how the situation evolves. But, we have to keep in mind that right now there is a certain amount of angst against Sheikh Hasina and her party. So I think we have to keep that in mind. And so we will closely follow how the situation evolves. And we will certainly try to play a positive role as much as we can. But then we have to keep in mind how the situation evolves and what sort of a role they're
Ambassador Gupta, just hold on to your thoughts. First reaction coming in from the Parliament, because the Parliament session is going to begin in 30 minutes from now. Even as we speak, the crucial all-party meeting is underway.
And tell us with an open statement what is happening in Bangladesh. But so far, government has not come forward with any statement clearly specify the real situation prevailing in Bangladesh.
Okay. There are a lot of stakes in terms of India-Bangladesh ties. It's also one of the oldest ties, and in terms of how India has engaged Ambassador Tayal, over the past decade particularly, India had very limited interaction with Bangladeshi opposition groups. And there was also this anti-India sentiment in Bangladesh, which makes it even more difficult to maneuver. Would you say that there is substantial diplomatic ground which has to be covered now?
Yes, certainly there is a substantial diplomatic ground to be covered. But the saving grace is that this entire movement against Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has really been conducted and perhaps even led by the student
Lies.
community, student leaders.
No.
And the political parties, whether it is BNP
Nahi.
or Jamaat Islami from the background, came a little late and tried to join the bandwagon. So the whole movement is based on economic problems of Bangladesh and the employment problems of the youth, where if they think right, then India is a partner in the economic development of Bangladesh as well as in job creation. So I do not see a fundamental difference between the sentiment which has led to this uprising and India's approach towards Bangladesh. And that is what we have to convey in multiple ways across the civil society. In Bangladesh, we have our own links over the last 50 years across different strata of civil society. Our army has connections with their armed forces, our political parties, our educationists, our lawyers, our judges, and that's why I see that it is not a inherently anti-India agitation. Yes, India is singed because we are seen as close to Sheikh Hasina, but that has to be put in a right perspective that whoever is leading the Bangladesh, but of course they have to be careful about our red lines, etc. And if the focus remains on Bangladesh's economic development, employment opportunities, etc., then India is a partner, and there is a lot of space to work. And of course, Bangladesh is very critical for us for our entire northeast and minority issues. If there is any harassment of Hindus there, it will have a huge fallout in India. So there are multiple ways it can go in a negative way, and it is in the interest of the Bangladesh army, Bangladesh civil society, people of Bangladesh, students of Bangladesh, that they do not antagonize India. India as a partner and as a friend is an asset for Bangladesh. That is what is to be conveyed to Bangladesh at multiple levels.
All right.